What's up, Ohana Exotics, and welcome back to another ridiculous episode. Guys, on today's episode, we have a very, very special guest with us, Alexander England. And what exactly is it that we're going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about eyelash vipers and variable bushmen. So first of all, Alexander, super welcome to you, man. Very happy that you're here. A lot of you guys might actually know him from Instagram as Rory's dad, and of course, the original OG, the king of Squamigera and the originator of the white Squamigera. This guy is an absolute legend. Now, for a man that already needs very little introduction, it feels funny to ask you this, but tell us a bit about yourself and tell us just exactly how you got fascinated in these incredible animals.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Alex England. I think some of you guys might know me and maybe have seen some things that I do. I like tree snakes, all the arboreal species. That stuff is what really gets me going. I'm pretty experienced and well versed in most snakes. I've kept a whole bunch, wide variety. I've bred a good bit of each. Lapids, Crotalis, terrestrial stuff, arboreal stuff, non-venomous species, a little bit constrictors, not much, a little bit of everything. What got me fascinated with bush vipers here specifically, when I was young, I saw some pictures in some books, and these snakes had big, rough-keeled scales. They just had this gnarly, tough-looking, exaggerated exterior. I really like the head structure. The way that they're physically built is really interesting to me. I'm big on snake body types and how they look physically. That plays a big part in a big role into the species that I like and that I'm fascinated with or want to keep. I love all snakes, all species. I don't want to keep all snakes and all species. I'm more selective with that. But with squam specifically, man, there's so many different colors. I remember seeing this picture. I was young and I was hanging out at the biology lab at Tulsa University with a buddy. And it's just a herpetologist dude that taught me a whole bunch of stuff and kind of encouraged my passion and development in venomous specifically. But anyway, I saw this badass picture of this just gnarly red and yellow and orange squam. It looked like it was on fire. And then I saw these couple awesome pictures in some Dick Bartlett books of some grays and blacks. And then there was some kind of gnarly yellows in there. There's just all these different colors of them, and I was just fascinated. I was hooked with Atheris. And the first Atheris I ever kept were Nietzschei. And I've kept some of those others, Serats, Chlorecus. I had a subocularis briefly for a bit. But my love is the squams.
You are the godfather of the white Squamigera line. So tell us a bit about this project.
Something that people ask me about a lot, talk to me about a lot, and show interest. It was a total accident. I got, in 2015, this super badass black squam. It was the first black I ever had. And he had smoking white belly, white up his face. His whole, face was white, lower jaw, so, labial scales, and, some white blushing up his sides. It was real nice, badass snake. And I bred him, the first year that I bred him to this crazy, black cherry looking, rich red squam. And out of that, there were 3 visual, funky, just super white babies. And one of them was just off the charts crazy, this soft lavender color. And And then there's a couple other funky, high white ones that I knew were oddballs and special. And then there were some black ones, and then there was some orange. But that whole litter just went crazy. And they get more white with age. More white develops as they mature. And, so I kept all those. And even the colored animals out of that litter, like the oranges, some of them turned silver white with like a faded orange. I have one orange girl that I kept that started as the most bright burnt orange animal, and then now she's like this dark purple and silver and white and black and just super weirdo. She's gravid right now, and it's the first time I've got her to breed. She's been reluctant to breed the last couple years, so I'm super excited to see what she does, because she's a real special snake to me. Anyway, that whole litter was amazing, and that male, was the godfather of everything, started so much. So that male, in his time with me, he probably fathered, 12 litters. And, my collection of adults now, probably 2/3 are animals that he produced. But I noticed that the animals that he paired to that produced white offspring, he bred to a few black ladies, and they produced funky white animals. He bred to the red, made funky white, and bred to a green and made funky white. And then he bred to a tiger, and they came out with off the charts litter of animals showing tiger features, showing white features. And what's exciting is that whole litter is getting to be about 18 months old now. So before too long, those males are going to start getting in the game and doing some stuff, and then the females will go in next fall, if they're appropriate size and everything. But when I bred him to a blue, nothing happened. When I bred him to a blue and black, nothing happened. Nothing abnormal happened. I bred him to a yellow, nothing happened. So it only played out with the black, the green, and the tiger, and the red. Yeah, the initial one red. So, maybe there's something there. It's still all new. I'm still going to take time to fine tune it and work it.
Man, I got fingers, toes, and nuts crossed that you get behind this, and these animals can become readily available to all of us. So who knows, maybe that means that I have the potential to make my own white babies with this beaut of a black male. Although that's pretty far in the future, because the adult female that we got for him, well, she's gravid. And the other female we have, well, she's still a baby. Now, when it comes to breeding Squamigera, you probably get asked this a lot, but what is your exact approach to breeding them? For example, these are my two Casper rattlesnakes. Their enclosure is super full now. I'm finally getting this male to show some interest into breeding, and, well, the way I could get it done is to literally not tamper or clean their enclosure. That's the only way I could have ever gotten this male to show interest. So, what's your approach? Obviously, you have mastered the art of breeding Squamigera.
The big thing that I'm asked about in breeding squams is, what do I do to cycle them? So what I do with trying to breed any snakes outside of colubrids and things like that are easy, within certain species, I look at the weather where they're from. From my experience, I know that snakes breed when it goes from dry season to wet season, because they're going to have babies in the wet season when there's prey, when there's bugs, frogs, lizards. Prey items are going to be abundant, so that's when these animals are going to drop their babies. That's how it works. So I know that. I know that from prior experience and prior animals. And that's another thing. It's take what you already know from other things and apply it in this situation, into a new situation. So I knew that. So then I look at their range, where they're from. I look at Palawan Islands, and Palawan Island, I'm like, okay, it switches from dry season to rainy season at this time of year. So prior to this time, I'm going to just say maintenance water, which, because even in the dry season, it's still going to rain, like probably just about every day. There's still going to be stupid ambient humidity, but it's not going to be quite as severe as it would in the rainy season. So, you know, then I recreate a little bit of a dry season, and then, you know, as it's getting to be rainy season, where they're in their part of the world, I watch the weather here, and, you know, we get a big front, we get a pressure drop, it's raining outside, the females are freshly shed, then you put them together. If it rains outside, make it rain inside. With Squamigera, they essentially kind of have 2 seasons that they'll reproduce. I get all of the majority of my locks in the fall, and where they're from, the rainy season ends, or the dry season ends like August, you know. July, August is when it stops being dry season, rainy season kicks in, you know. So leading up to that, I keep them hot during the day, let them get a little cooler at night, you know, but I just kind of maintenance water. And then, you know, I'm feeding prior to this appropriately. I'm feeding the males less, so that way they're lean and active and cruising and moving, because, you know, if you have a big old fat, well-fed male, he's just going to sit in the corner and be a bump on a log. He's not going to be out, you know, hunting and chasing and looking. So I kind of back them off on food and, you know, go through the dry season. And then when it becomes time, I, you know, start spraying all the girls, you know, with feeding, start to go into shed cycles around that time. And just as they drop their shed, if the weather's good outside, pair them up.
You know, other than Squamigera, we see tons of Arboreals on your IG. So do these guys tie in with your passion for Squamigera, or is there something else going on?
So I love all Arboreal species. They're my favorites, you know, generally. I like some more than others. I like the polymorphic species. I love eyelash vipers. I love the variability. I can't even begin to understand how their color changes work. It's all over the place. So I don't claim to understand or really know how that works. I mean, I understand and grasp it enough in the right ways. But, like, you know, it's like, well, I mean, these are the parents, so probably favor a little of each, you know. I mean, you can kind of look at an animal and get an idea, I feel like, what it will do. There's so many different little pieces on their pattern that you can look at. You know, these typically go this color, these go this color, and you can kind of look at those things. But I really love the facial structure with them. You know, I love their body shape, the variety in color. Husbandry's easy with them. You know, they're just beautiful. I like beautiful snakes. But yeah, on my page, it's just all bright, pretty, colorful stuff, because that's what I like.
Alright, now here's probably going to be a very easy question for you. What do you believe is the #1 reason that people end up killing their Squamigera? And what is the #1 thing that you find as a concern for people out there keeping these amazing African species of viper? And leave us with a little bit of advice for these people so that in future we can have this species fester itself in this hobby.
So if I had to, like, try to pinpoint the 1 or 2 things that I think are most detrimental to success with Squamigera, I would say overfeeding and too wet. Overfeeding is a bad one, because these snakes, they're sedentary. You know, all the arboreal vipers are sedentary, you know, so they have a slow metabolism. yeah, at night they'll cruise and move, and you'll see them doing laps and boogieing around their cage and doing stuff, but like still they have slow metabolism. And you know, in the wild, they're eating frogs, lizards, insects, you know, things like that that are super lean prey items with minimal fat. And you know, they might eat those frequently. They might eat, you know, a few lizards a week or anything, you know, and kind of all over the place like that. But in captivity, then we feed them these fat ass rodents that are high in fat and high in protein, you know. And you give them all this diet that they're not designed to have. And then, you know, their normal behavior is sit and chill, and they get fat, and it builds up on their organs, and it'll chop their lifespan in half. I've seen it numerous times, people feeding huge things, and you know, the snakes get huge quick, or they, you know, were already adult size, and then they're like freakish, like adult copperhead size, and they're monsters, but they just burn right out. So I think that's a big thing. Like, my adults never eat anything larger than a fuzzy mouse. Never. Like, if a female drops a big litter and she drops a bunch of weight with it, one meal right after dropping babies, I'll give her a hopper. But then after that, it's back to fuzzies. And, you know, obviously, sure, they can eat bigger. They can eat hoppers. They can eat small adult mice. Yeah, you know, but that doesn't mean they should. Another thing that I think is a big killer for all arboreals is people think because these snakes are tropical, because they're from, you know, the Congo, South America, you know, Southeast Asia, where it's 100% humidity level every day, that these snakes have to be soaking wet. No, they're not frogs. They're not salamanders. They can't be physically wet. Literally almost any animal, if it's physically wet constantly, gets blisters, bacterial infections, skin issues, like everything has that happen. So snakes are no different. So these guys need ambient humidity, not physical humidity, like you know, physically wet. I see people blast in their cages with soakers, and just, you know, that's just like mud on the bottom, the snake's dripping wet in every picture they post. And, you know, so then you soak him and get him ultra wet, and then your lights kick off. And, you know, say it's hot, so your AC's running. So then it's cold and wet overnight. So then you get, you know, respiratory infections. And, you know, okay, say they got it in this mulch setup, but then they're misting the piss out of it, and they got heat lights in a little enclosed space, and because they're on mulch and it's not bioactive, waste builds up. So then there's heat, moisture, and waste. So then you get bacteria. So then you get respiratory infections. You get more issues. You get skin blisters. All of those things, you know, from too much humidity. With my snakes, some of my tropical species, I might mist 2 times a week, but it's a light mist. But like Squamigera specifically, once a week, I change their water, bleach the water bowls, and I dump water on the soil. And I mean, I dump enough water to where, half of the enclosure's leaves on the floor are floating for a minute, and then it goes down. And then I will lightly mist the whole cage so all the leaves get wet, a little bit of water on the snake, and do that. And then so then that soil absorbs that water, and I have a layer of leaves over the top of the soil. So those leaves dry quick. So then if the snake goes down and sits on the bottom, it's sitting on dry leaves. It's not sitting on wet soil and mud. And then those leaves also act like an insulator to hold the moisture and the water in the soil. Yeah, so then that water slowly dissipates, the soil starts to dry, and that lasts about a week. And then, the following week, I do the same thing. And so soaking that soil, waters my plants. It gives me the ambient humidity and lets it go through the week, spot on. And if somebody is going into shed or looks dry or a plant looks a little thirsty, I'll lightly sprinkle a little bit on there, but I don't spray and mix crazy heavy. So yeah, those are the things that I see people screw up with. Grateful to be here and glad I was asked to do this and contributing. Glad it finally worked out. And yeah.
Man, Alex, and a massive thank you to you, man. I appreciate your time so much for this. I'm so glad we could get this done. I've been wanting to do this for ages, and look at us now, man. We finally got it done. Ohana Exotics crew, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys actually learned something from this. We're getting in some people from abroad to share some perspective, people who have actually mastered the art of keeping these animals. So hopefully for us here in South Africa, we can start implementing these things. So this was not a funky, entertaining show off of a bunch of animals video. This was a very hardcore, intense, educational video, and I hope you guys are making the most of this content and you guys are implementing some of the things that you learned in this video. Alex, again, massive shout out to you. If you guys want to see more of Alex, be sure to check it out on the description below. I'll link his IG, so if you can go check out that sexy ass white Squamigera line that he's working with and a bunch of other incredible animals that he's working with. So guys, from Ohana Exotics, Alex, we all thank you so much. Peace out.